Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 638 on Tuesday, the 1st of July, 2025. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear us concerned that one company may not exist soon. In new car news, you'll get to feel some emotions. And in points of interest, you'll be seeking faraway places to visit with friends. And there is no follow-up, so we leap straight into the new news. And after last month, where we declared that we never talk about production figures in the UK car industry, we are now going to do so yet again because it is worse than last month. The UK vehicle production has reached its lowest level since 1949. That is, of course, ignoring the lockdown year. Pretty much all down to the US tariffs as everyone suddenly hit the hard brakes and stopped production to go across to America.
Makes sense. Aston Martin, Lotus, JLR all paused shipments to the US just because nobody knew what was happening from day to day.
Because it's so clear now.
It's so much clearer now, yes. Ultimately, though, there was a 31.5% reduction in exports to the US, or at least building of cars with a view to shipping them to the US. We only built 49,810 new cars in the UK, which is down 31.5% compared to the same month in 2024. Production for the exports dropped by 27.8% to 37,448 vehicles. Exports to the US alone dropped 55.4% compared with May last year. To add one last little sliver of bad news, the ratio of cars exported rose from 74.5% to 78.5%. That sounds good until you realise that, hang on a minute, if we're dropping the number that are being exported and that's still a higher percentage than the ones not being exported, then that's a bit of a challenge because UK market production dropped by 42.1% to 10,275 cars. You can't really run factories at half or a quarter speed.
No.
Not car factories anyway. So it's a kind of all or nothing thing where basically it's like, well, we can't just make non-American cars. There seems to be some stability to the stupidity for at least for the next 10 minutes. Let's see where things go from here on in.
Yep, fingers crossed.
He says, hopefully.
Anyway, talking of potential job losses, etc., do you want to take us to Sunderland?
Well, yes, Nissan. Oh, gee, it doesn't get any better. Nissan CEO Ivan Espinosa took over in April. He has since unveiled plans to shed around about 15% of Nissan's global workforce and close 7 plants as he tries to save $3.4 billion in cost cuts over the next 2 years. Now, he's already said Sunderland's great at the minute. It's fine. No, nothing to worry about, everyone, which is good, especially as it's had quite a lot of taxpayer money lately. But what they are doing is they are trying to boost their short-term cash reserves. And the way they're trying to boost their short-term cash reserves is by going to suppliers and saying, well, we could pay you now, but we can also pay you with interest in the future. And trying to see if that is going to work with suppliers and give them the option. So this isn't the old Stellantis, we're not paying you that much, we're going to pay you much less. This is, we will pay you the amount, but we could pay you more.
It's voluntary.
It's voluntary, yes. There are fingers being waved just there. Whether or not that's a good idea or not, I just don't know. To me, this is always a worrying sign. Now, I am no accountant. I am no business expert in these kind of terms, but it just always seems a little bit concerning. Because if you don't pay your suppliers go either belly up or just refuse to supply you anymore, then you really are stuck in a hole. And it's very difficult to get out of that hole.
This is the second time they've done this as well.
One employee told co-workers in emails this month that suppliers were again being asked for an extension of payment terms. Obviously, Nissan are really fighting. They're fighting the results of all the infighting. They're fighting the results of having an elderly lineup of vehicles. And they're suffering from having vehicles which people are not hugely enamored with at the moment.
Yeah, and to make things worse, though, what you're saying about the lineup, is they've also paused all post-2026 new car development, which just seems insane. I think hearing that, because 7 factories is enormous as well, but hearing that and seeing this stunt being pulled on suppliers, I really do question how long they've got left.
When I'm talking about model ranges and stuff, folks, don't forget that this is a global problem. This is not the UK. This is not Europe. This is right around the world. New product development, new announcements is basically a Renault with a different front at the minute.
Yeah. But they're asking UK and European suppliers for the, well, we can pay you later, honestly. But to bring it back to Sunderland, though, they have actually started a consultation period to see if anybody is up to taking voluntary redundancy from non-manufacturing positions. So they need to make, apparently, according to the Top Gear article that's linked in the show notes, they need to make 250 positions redundant.
That's been brewing for a little while, that one.
It just doesn't look good at all.
So the next piece of good news, Andrew.
Yes. Anyway, let's move to Hethel, because the will they, won't they discussion started over the weekend. So late on Friday, Autocar was told by a source that Lotus was considering and looking at shutting down UK production and investigating how easy and quick they could ramp it up in America. However, over the weekend, Lotus heard about this, and on Monday, a very strongly worded statement that went, no, that's not true. Yes, we are looking at America, but no, we're not closing down Hethel.
On LinkedIn, I think it was even on Sunday, to be honest. It was even sooner than that. I think I saw it. No, they're not looking to close down Hethel. I mean, we were having a chat about this beforehand. This is the result of, but there's even this rumour, is the result of some pretty rubbishy management decisions, I think. Let's say that and be blunt about that, to build vehicle ranges that are quite far removed from the understanding of what a Lotus is in people's minds, and to then build them in China was not a great move anyway in the first place when you're trying to sell a luxury vehicle. And then, of course, the Trump tariff tantrums were out of their hands, but that just made it a complete non-starter in the US. Now, if I ruled the world, then I could see moving the production of the big Lotuses to the US, into the Volvo plant that there is there. But you would, if there's no British car plant and there's no British development, and there aren't any little sporty cars, then is it really still a British company? You end up with MG.
Well, it's Ineos, isn't it?
I was going to say you end up with MG or Ineos, to take two from opposite ends of the thing. Yeah, it's fantastically British. Look, none of it's done here at all. We're going to build a fan. No, we're not. Completely put me off my stride there. That's how I would try to solve this. I would also be considering that the next round of luxury vehicles actually become smaller and maybe more a sort of Ultra Polestar or whatever, built on a smaller chassis anyway.
Yeah, we've discussed this before, that the move they made into SUVs electric wise was understandable. However, it was handled badly, and on top of it, they've still not done any marketing or explanation to try and convince us that they are tied together, they are related, it is a natural evolution, etc. But because they're just the vehicles are enormous.
They are one of those things you see on the road and you go, blooming heck.
Yeah.
It's monstrous. I saw one not so long ago parked in a hotel car park. And it was like, whoa, that thing is big.
Yeah. And that's how they get the range. That's how they get the really ultra rapid charging ability and all these other things. So I know why it is, but they've not helped anyone to accept that. They've just gone, here it is, and it's great because it's Lotus. What?
Yeah, but it's Lotus. Nobody goes, but surely this would be simplified and added lightness, and you would expect them to be at the forefront of using composites so that so it's lighter weight, so there's a smaller battery, so it's even lighter weight, so you're still getting the range. And that just seems to be missing. And there's probably very good reason for that. I mean, but what do I know, really? But yeah, that seems strange. Anyway, in the meantime, the Park Lane dealership has been transferred to H.R. Owen to cut costs, and as well as that, the Clerkenwell headquarters is also set to close, having only been opened a few months ago at, as it's to quote Autocar, great expense. Yeah, come on, guys.
Again, getting worried for them.
Yeah. Anyway, look on the bright side. I mean, I think that's all the bad news stories out the way, and it's still not as bad as Tesla's cybertaxi launch has gone in Texas. So there's something to be grateful for.
Yes. Right, I'm going to move us on to a story from Mac Rumors, and it's saying that now there are a number of car manufacturers who originally said they would partner with Apple on CarPlay Ultra, but now they won't.
Or they maybe won't.
No, some of them are definitely saying they won't, but there's at least one of them I didn't think was anyway, because Mercedes have been very vocal from the start that they weren't going to be doing this, I thought. I mean, their chief technology officer came out and went, it would be insane for us to give up that much leverage.
Never trust chief technology officers, though. They don't really know what they're talking about. They're far happier with a sort of Azure stack or whatever. The irony being, of course, that one of the key partners that's showing it all off is Aston Martin, and all of that stuff is running on Mercedes-Benz tech.
Yes.
What do we know?
How that's working, yes. Absolutely. And also, there is a quote here from a Renault representative, which I am taking with an enormous pinch of salt, because they're going, "Oh no, you can't give them that much access to our systems. That's ridiculous." As they work with Google. Just like, okay, all right, yeah.
As I say, you can't trust chief technology officers. It's just there will always be some massive contradiction somewhere along the lines, and you just go, really?
I wonder, actually, if a lot of this, it's very easy for them to say, oh, no, we don't want to give up that much access to our cars. I wonder if a lot of it is actually down to the fact that the displays for CarPlay Ultra for the driver just look awful. They look amateurish. They look rubbish. I don't know whether car manufacturers have then gone, ooh, that's really poor. Even our stuff looks better than that.
But Andrew, the one there is so much better than the dashboard in my dad's X3 that I was driving yesterday, where I was trying to get 2 round dials. I was trying to get it Hyundai style, with 2 round dials with some stuff in the middle. Just something nice. But I failed. Never mind.
Well, BMW have fallen so far. Hopefully the new design language on the exterior is reflected on the interior.
Yes, because it drives really nicely. I'm going to say that again in case people think I'm being a hater, because I'm not really. I just grew up with E30s, so and everything in between, you know. It's a challenge. What's next? Oh, General Motors. General Motors have won a victory. This was us trying to get the good news in, but it's not necessarily a victory, really. General Motors persuaded a federal appeals court last week to decertify a class action in the USA, which was looking to hold them liable for knowingly selling about 800,000 cars, trucks, and SUVs with faulty transmissions. Goes back to Chevrolet and GMC and Cadillac vehicles equipped with 8L45 or 8L90 8-speed automatic transmissions sold from 2015 to 2019. These supposedly shudder and shake in higher gears, hesitate and lurch in lower gears, and just cannot be repaired.
It reminds me of a certain hire car I had that was not from GM.
Yeah. Yeah, so I doubt it was big enough to need those transmissions, though. These vehicles that are affected by this are definitely, this is going to be a big issue in the UK. Cadillac CTS, the CT6 and Escalade, the Chevrolet Camaro Colorado, Corvette and Silverado, and the GMC Canyon, Sierra, and Yukon. Some of those, of course, being the same vehicle under 3 different badges.
I mean, they say it's a victory, but it's not, is it really? It's a delaying tactic.
It is a delaying tactic. Basically, the court said, look, there's too many different complaints in this one class action, and it's covering too many different scenarios, so it's going to have to be broken down into smaller class actions. Is really what it was. I mean, it is a good delaying tactic. Whether or not it's better for lawyers, probably.
Yes. As ever, they're the only winners.
They're the only winners. Probably not better for General Motors because they'll need multiple teams working on this for each of those different class actions. And it's it's not great for consumers because they're going to have to work out which class action they're meant to be in. They want to be in a class action. And it's not great for General Motors either because the optics suck.
Mm.
It's not just they sold the stuff with crummy transmissions. It's a case of, now they're trying to get out of any kind of compensation.
What I find very interesting in this article that's linked in the show notes from Reuters is they make it very clear what leaning the judges had who made these rulings. That is a new twist on how stories are being reported coming out of America these days.
It is.
Do you want to take us on to Intel?
Not hugely. The chances are that in the future your car will not contain Intel chips. For the time being, they're basically laying off the bulk of the automotive group. So they've been building hardware for cars for almost 50 years, but there is a new cost-cutting program. Isn't that a common theme these days?
It's almost as though the bonanza of the COVID times absolutely made businesses lose their mind, and they forgot that things would return to normal and they would go back to times like it was before, but not as good. It's just insanity.
This story's from The Register, and it describes it as winnowing the Intel workforce and concentrating on technology that pays its way.
They haven't used Boffin, so I'm happy for that.
Oh, thank goodness. Well, I haven't scrolled far enough down yet. Yeah, they haven't used Boffin. That's a relief. I hate it when The Register does that. What the other part of this that isn't quite as obvious is, of course, that they bought Mobileye and then sold it off at significant profit recently. Anyway, so they'd partly divorced themselves from the automotive world by selling off Mobileye, but brought in a lot of money for them.
Yeah. Well, goodbye, Intel.
I mean, what are they doing these days? Really, they're focusing on the GPUs and the chipsets that are used for AI and for crypto stuff. So
yes,
ethics, folks, ethics.
Yes.
That brings us, of course, to Guilt Minute, the quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on, the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in the space store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. If you don't have any spare cash, we do completely understand, and you can help by following for free from a podcast player or on YouTube to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show, whatever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you all that do. Very much appreciated.
Closing in on those 500 subscribers on YouTube.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, everyone that's subscribed.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of views every month, but only a tiny percentage of subscribers. So please subscribe.
Yes.
And that just sounds like it's such a YouTuber. Hey, you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm so sorry.
Hit that bell, etc., etc.
I'm so sorry, but I'm increasingly understanding why that happens.
Yes. Anyway, on to new car news. And new car news is a bit thin on the ground. So we're going to start with the Mercedes-AMG to simulate gearboxes in emotional EVs, according to this Autocar article. And they revealed a concept, the Concept GT XX.
Cool tech. Pretty not attractive. As I said, it's as if someone they were halfway through designing one thing to one brief, and then some senior management came in and went, C111! And then just walked out again. And so they were like, well, what the heck could we do? So they gave it a sort of slightly gawpy mouth that looks a bit like a fish, and they painted it orange.
Well, the picture at the top of the article makes me think, oh, that's Maserati.
Bang on. Actually, yeah, I hadn't made that. I knew it looked familiar, but yes, it looks like a Maserati.
They're talking about how cars have to connect with you emotionally and how EVs have perhaps not done that for people. So this is trying to, as it's a driver-focused vehicle meant to be, for driving pleasure, they're trying to really tap into that side of things. So think what the Ioniq 5N does, but and now they're saying, oh yes, we can do that. And simulating gear changes, though, just like whatever.
You see, this is silly. This is like the early days of the car, okay? And it's as if they're going, and so what we're going to do, okay, what we'll do is we'll make it, everybody's complaining, it's not involving enough, it's not like riding a horse. every now and again, we're just going to make it surge to one side or another completely unpredictably or stop. And everyone's like, yeah, but it's not the same. You're just simulating the. So what they're going to do to make it better, and this is where the sort of whole noise thing comes in, is they're just going to make it spray horse poo at you. And it's great. Yeah, it's got like the smell of a horse. It's fantastic. And that's what they're doing here. Come on, get on with it. Find something new. Be innovative. It's just darned lazy.
But it does demonstrate how just speed is not enough.
It is. You need something to give you an indication of your speed.
You go, oh wow, I'm going fast. Now what?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying in all internal combustion engine vehicles bring that involvement or anything either. There's plenty that don't try to, but there's plenty that try to that fail as well. So this is not a EV only issue, although it's just amplified, I think.
There's steering and handling, and in some cases you might have to make it what's notionally thought of as a bit worse to give the sensation of speed. It's like taking my GRMN and comparing it to a GR Yaris. The GR Yaris is faster point to point. In almost all situations, it's faster point to point because it soaks up bumps in the road. It soaks up the steering is there, and it soaks stuff up. Whereas the GRMN always feels faster because that's how it's set up to be.
Mm.
You feel flipping, you can tell the color of the blooming gravel you're driving over through your butt because the suspension is that way. You have to wrestle the steering wheel a little bit. You can't just zip along at 75 miles an hour with the fingertips on the steering wheel. You have to actually hold on and feel it. And so don't try and tell me that this is just an EV problem. You get to it. Stop being lazy. This is sheer laziness.
It does show a lack of.
It shows a lack of creativity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, after several weeks of resto mods that didn't involve a Porsche, Alan, especially for you, we have a resto mod that involves a Porsche.
There's a new Porsche 911 by Singer. Red Bull and Cosworth have been vaguely involved. It's just give me a 964. Really? I mean, I barely care enough to tell you about this, but there's like driver modes, and there's a 964, of course, because that wasn't rare enough to start with. I swear there's more of these blooming resto mods than there are clean 964s left these days. Red Bull Advanced Technologies helped strengthen the underpinnings for the Carrera Coupe. Cosworth, I believe, helped with the engine, milling it out to a 4-litre flat 6 based on the Dona 964's unit. It's got a turbo, it's got all that stuff. So yeah, Cosworth have done some engine stuff. Red Bull Composites have helped with some underfloor bracing. Yeah, well done, everyone.
It's about $900,000, £900,000. And I saw an interesting comment on social media. I won't name the person because I haven't asked their permission, but I did see them saying that they're getting very tired of resto mods today because in the past they were a way, I'm paraphrasing his post here, they were a way in which a classic car was kept on the road and kept being used, and now resto mods are so ridiculously expensive in a lot of cases that they're just for incredibly rich people to add to their garage and never drive.
Yeah. Great, whatever. Move on. I'm far more interested by this next one, by the way.
Are you? Because I'm not at all.
Okay.
Here we go. We have... it's just pointless. We're never going to see it, so it feels like... This week, all three of the cars that in new car news would not have made it in a normal week. But there is nothing out there.
There's nothing because they're all waiting for Goodwood. That's what the problem is with new car news this week. If you wonder why they're going, why are they covering these? There is nothing. It is a desert of new cars. And it's because Goodwood's coming up, and so stuff is going to be shown off at Goodwood. And then we'll have far too much.
Yep. But here we go. Cadillac have delivered their first CELESTIQ. Oh dear. Apparently, according to GM News, their own article that we have linked in the show notes, It is marking a new era for the standard of the world.
Let me pause you there for a moment, Andrew. So the CELESTIQ is a new hand-built Cadillac, it is very much aiming at Rolls-Royce and Bentley territory with an electric Cadillac. And it's a kind of, it is a car, so it is low. It is also wide. It is also very long. But that allows it to hold batteries and stuff. And it has very much a Thunderbirds-esque coupe shape to it. It's a four-door. It's a saloon. I think it looks fantastic. I really like the looks of this. But I like the looks of the rest of the Cadillac range anyway, with the exception of the Escalade, because it's just a Silverado with fancy badges. I think it looks the business. Yeah, the Lyric is the smaller one. I always forget its name, which is similarly coupe-ish. But I think it's really cool that they have actually brought something that looks like a concept car. It's sized like a concept car and has essentially the powertrain that you would expect in a concept car actually to the road. Now, they're phenomenally expensive. You have to sort of go along and ask nicely. The prices start in the mid $300,000 range, and you do it and you spec it like a Bentley or like a Rolls-Royce. And it's all assembled in Warren, Michigan at the Artisan Center.
They had an engineering philosophy to create this LEAQ, according to this article, which was isolated precision.
Well, that sounds about right, really.
They also talk about how it's got estimated 303 miles range, 3.7 seconds from 0 to 60 miles per hour. And they also state provides refined, comfortable driving on back roads and superhighway trips alike. What's a superhighway?
I have no idea what that is.
Is that only for special people? The superhighway.
Yes. I want to be driven around when I'm an evil potentate, I want to be driven around big cities in the back of one of these. This has replaced the Jaguar XJ as my evil potentate carriage of choice. I like it. Have a look. Go look for it. Go look at it, because I think it looks great. It's a bit Marmite. I will understand if people come back and go, what the heck is Alan on about? That's hideous. I love it. I really like it. I think it's fantastically American in all of the good ways of being American. And I think it's where American luxury cars should be. And I just hope that GM management leave them the heck alone so that they can get on with it.
We'll see.
Anyway, points of interest this week.
Yes, let's move on to something interesting.
Moving swiftly and chirpily on.
Yes.
This week's Lunchtime Read is from Driven to Right by Ian Doyle, and it's 3 is the magic number, and he's talking about the BMW 3 Series, of course. Specifically, he's talking about the E21, the first generation of 3 Series that was launched in 1975 and designed and styled by Paul Bracq. It gave us a lot of the classic BMW shape, where it turned the 3 Series into a thing around the world. My father's first 3 Series was father's BMW was a 316, no I, in this pale metallic green with a steel slide and tilt sunroof and electric front windows and power steering. 3-door saloon, because that's all you could get. It's such a neat car.
Yes.
Such a neat car. And just look at the ergonomics and the classy dashboard and the good looks and all the things which you don't necessarily get in modern small BMWs.
Yeah, it's not just a BMW problem either.
No, it isn't, but it's particularly bad on there.
It's very grating when you look at where they've come from. You could also say that about Mercedes.
Yes. Again, yeah. But no, great article. Go have a read. Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a good one. I'm going to take us on to the list of the week, and it's thanks to Autocar that we have a slideshow that is titled 25 of Renault's Greatest Performance Hits. Okay, Alan, this is down to you.
Yeah, well done to Danny Davis for compiling it as well. I'm going to go for slides 20 in your handout, everyone.
Snap.
That's really the Renault's.
So we've done it 2 weeks on the trot.
This is we do not discuss this beforehand.
No, this is live reaction.
Renault Sport Megane R26R. That's the Renault Megane, 3-door of the era when the Megane had a bum. It's the one that came with the full roll cage, lightweight bucket seats, and the carbon fiber bonnet. It was, in my parlance, pre-Clarkied, and you could get it in grey, yellow. I think you get black as well. Very cool, properly nutter, low volume, hatchback. Why would I not want that?
Yep. Oh, it's just mad. I like that.
Yeah.
I also like the next slide as well. But yeah, I picked the same one as you.
Yes, the next slide's very good. In fact, anything to do with the vehicles and the next slide is generally quite good in my opinion. In my book, I have a very soft spot for that.
Yeah. Do check out the link in the show notes and feel free to tell us how wrong we were.
Mm-hmm. That brings us to the and finally. And finally this week's from the Autopian. And it's titled, This Crazy Triple-Decker Bus is a 6x6 Off-Roader at a Hotel for 20 People in One. And it's talking all about Rotel tours and some of their very, oh no, I almost said very unique. And they and they're very uniquely specified trucks and buses and how they came to be that way. I almost put this forward for a lunchtime read, but I thought it was a little bit, it was surreal enough that it should really be an and finally. Really interesting. There's a good 10 minutes or so of reading in there of how they ended up. Triple axle Mercedes Actros derived bus hotel things.
Yeah. Yeah, that sort of reminds me of something I've been wondering recently. There is an enormous number of vehicles locally to me that have roof tents.
Oh, the tent box painters.
And I'm wondering exactly how many of these people actually use said roof tent.
The trouble is, most of them are the soft type as well. The trouble is going to be down. You see them all up because they all come up here to do the North Coast 500.
Mm.
And it just seems to be so many with it. I looked at buying a roof tent in the US, but they were quite expensive.
Yeah.
They were going to hit my fuel economy.
What fuel economy?
Yes, there's not a lot of fuel economy going on. And then I had nowhere to store it when I wasn't using it. It was just going to be an inconvenience. So I decided against that and instead stayed in the Holiday Inn Express for significantly less cost in total than the roof tent would have been. And I got free breakfast and air conditioning. And no bears. That was the real killer with the bears.
Yes, I was just going to say. Literally.
Bears were what stopped the camping idea, yes.
Yes, and just reminded of Bill Bryson and A Walk in the Woods.
Yeah.
You've basically made a Snickers, human Snickers, because you've got the wrapper that they'll take off as well.
Yeah. That was not lost on me, which was why all of a sudden the whole idea of car camping in remote places in the US was halted. But this way, you can do it with many other people, and it's a multi-bag. I don't know if you remember when, well, you were probably too old, but when I just sort of left university, or when I was a student, then there were companies that you could go and sort of go to the Sahara and stuff in a converted Bedford TF 4x4 truck thing. And they used to do these kind of safari things. No?
No.
Just me then. I thought that was a great idea. I really thought it was a cool idea. And this is a fancy version of that.
Yeah. No, I like this. I like this a lot. I wouldn't have everybody else in there. I just have the vehicle myself. And
yes, I'd have it for myself. But yeah, such is the way it is.
Good spot, that one.
Yeah, well, yes. Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you, the Autopian, for that. Obviously, link in the show notes as always. I think that's us for the week.
Yep.
Awesome. In which case, everyone, don't forget between now and next week, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts on the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and on the contact page at www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you search for Crack Windscreen on Blue Sky, or if you prefer to use LinkedIn, I am there under my proper name. And Alan, if people would like to get in touch with you personally, what is the best way for them to do that?
Best way really is Blue Sky, although I am also on LinkedIn. But on Blue Sky, I'm at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley. www.bsky.social. We'll be back very soon, but up until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.